I'm illegally parked, I know, part of my French and my Mercedes. But I have no excuse for this flea market shirt I'm wearing. My motley crew is beastie, and we enjoy the staring. I'm unemployed and daring. How dare I be so cool when it's so hot in Alabama? Sometimes we get snow too. And I'm as rare as a white Christmas in Miami, really. The temperature's dropping on South Beach, the ocean's getting chilly. But I'm driving, my people, the party, yeah. Some drinking, get rowdy, party. And I went out with a buddy or two, and it was all, and we got gone, and we got gone, and we got gone, and we got gone. Yes, I jumped off the boat, and I'm sinking in my chair, cause my beer bottle does not float. Help me now. Please enjoy the snow. I done come up so fast that I'm afraid of heights. I gotta go. Help me down. Or I'll just learn to balance somewhere between commercial dreams and music that is valid. My babies need to eat, so I create a simple sound. The fiasco threw me for a loop. Hey, I dumbed it down, slick. Ricky Bob and driving. I'm driving. My people, the party, yeah. Some drinking, get rowdy, party. And I went out with a buddy or two, and it was all, and we got to the bar by the 1:45, and it was all, and we got gone, 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 and we got gone. Yeah, my people are riding in trucks and wheels oversized. In such a world I reside, and your luck runs low with your pride. And enough to keep you a bite at the club when trouble's around. I got them car keys in hand, I know what the fuck's going down. Some of these people come sick, some pop the trunk for AKs. They wanna do bodily harm, they wanna live for the day. We just came to get stupid, so give me that bottle of Crown. I'll take my girl to my Caprice and get the fuck out of town. Come on, girl. And I'm driving, my people, the party, yeah. Some drinking, get rowdy, party. And I went out with a buddy or two, and it was all, and we got to the bar by the 1:45, and it was all, and we got gone, 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 and we got gone.
Hang up and try again. We did not receive a response.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. It looks like I'm having some internet troubles. I'm trying to get the call-in studio set up. So if you guys could be very, very patient with me, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to attempt to do that. And I'll even give you the pleasure of watching me try to do that while I try to do that.
Thank you for calling Call-In Studios host and call screener line. Please enter your show number and press pound. Enter your 6-digit PIN number. That was an invalid PIN for Howard's Rock. Please re-enter your 6-digit PIN. If you think you have reached the wrong show, hang up and try again. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
All right. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Thursday to everybody. Thank you for joining me to this impromptu live stream. So normally I do the Friday night beer drinkers call-in show. I can't do it Friday night, so I'm doing it tonight. Well, I don't even know what time. What time is it? It's 4:22. I might be doing it till 5 or whenever my kids get home. And Mrs. Pete. Let me see who's in the chat here real quick. Tiger Nate, Jamie McCaslin, George, vodka drinker. Uncle Lou says, leave me alone. No, I refuse to do that. Billy Dawson's in the house. Ricky Baker, Christian Ballard, Goose 76 Sports in the house. Uncle Lou says you only entered 5 numbers. Yes, I know. You know what I did? Because this was such impromptu video, I ran upstairs, started the music, and started the live stream. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot to put the call-in studio on. So then I was trying to do the call-in studio. I know I have 4 minutes while that song's playing to do whatever I got to do. So I had 4 minutes to do the call-in studio thing, and I failed miserably. It was a complete disaster. But it is what it is. By the way, thank you all for joining me. So obviously it's a call-in show. Let me see the number. I don't even know what the number is. The number is 864-207-7112. And I don't even know. Is it lagging for anybody? Because it's definitely lagging on my end. What I'm going to try to do here. All right. I'm going to try to, I'm using my phone as a hotspot. I'm trying to set it over here closer. All right, good, not lagging. So thank you all for joining me. I'm going to see if anybody's on the line. If not, we'll talk in the chat. No callers on the line. Of course, this show is driven by the callers. So if there's no callers, this show won't last very long. This is something that I mentioned yesterday on the 2-year anniversary video that I did, is that a lot of times, sometimes I have 18 callers and I've only got 3 slots. Sometimes I have 0 callers. So they all seem to come in spurts. We can talk about some of the stuff that's happening this weekend. Obviously, we have a few good matchups this weekend, finally. Florida and South Carolina, if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, was that interesting? I would have said no. I would have thought Florida would have blown off the map. But Florida coming off a loss, South Carolina coming off of a very, very emotional win against Georgia. Look, let me start with this. For anybody who thinks that just because South Carolina beat Georgia in double overtime, that somehow South Carolina is good now, or that Georgia sucks, you're overreacting. Overreaction Monday to the max. Neither one of those things is true. Georgia still controls their own destiny, and South Carolina still sucks. Sorry. Look, it happens every year. It happens every year when you have top 10 teams that struggle against unranked teams. We saw this a couple weeks ago with Clemson. Listen, with Clemson, we've seen this happen several years in a row. They always have a struggle game. The difference is Clemson usually finds a way to win that game. Georgia didn't. Georgia shot themselves in the foot, and I'm not even going to blame this on the players. That was really coaching that lost that game for Georgia. But that doesn't mean that Georgia all of a sudden sucks, okay? And that also, for sure, does not mean that South Carolina is all of a sudden good. On the other hand, we have Georgia-Kentucky. Georgia's 24.5-point favorite. Hold on. Georgia, 24.5-point favorite. I expect Georgia to win this game probably by 30 or 40 points at minimum. First of all, Kentucky's no good. Second of all, Georgia's going to be pissed off. This game's in Athens. I mean, they're going to have maybe half of the hedges that they had last week, but they're still going to be pissed off. I don't even know. How much does it cost for Georgia to replace that flower garden that they've got surrounding their field? I don't know. $1,000, $2,000. I don't know. I know a couple of landscapers down the road that could probably replace that flower garden, those hedges, for a couple $100. No cap on that. I got a call here. Let's see who's on the line. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Connor, dude. What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, long time no see.
Excuse me. I can't breathe. What's up, comic dude? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. It's long sleeve shirt season, so I'm cold, but I'm happy.
You're up there in Rutgers, right? New York or New Jersey?
Yep.
All right.
New Jersey. Yeah. Close enough.
Yeah, it's down here in southeastern South Carolina. It's about 68 degrees and beautiful. I can't complain.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since you called in, man. What you got for me?
Well, I just check in. Basically, I left in one of your comments like Clemson should have been number one, should still be number one. I'm a little pissed off about that. Like they should be, even though they don't look like the number one team, but they still should be number one until they lose. I'm just very passionate about this.
All right. Well, I'm not, because I don't really care if they're number one. And I actually disagree with you. I don't think they should be number one. I'd say LSU has the best resume and has looked the best. So I'd give them number one. I'd give Alabama number two, and I'd have Clemson at three. And I think that's where they are in the meaningless AP poll. So tell me why you think Clemson should be number one then.
Well, it's kind of like you basically like to see. I know like each season is different, but since there's only 12 games and you don't play like that many teams, I think it's only fair that you like Clemson should be number one. Like it's like kind of like a continuing cycle. Like even though it's a different season and different players, it's still kind of momentum kind of carries over, if you know what I mean.
So you're one of the people that thinks that if you win the national championship and you're undefeated, that you should stay number one until you lose. Was that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I mean, I can
like you're still. The reason, and it's kind of unfitting that the defending champion, like if they're undefeated, they're not number one. That doesn't really make much sense in my mind.
All right, I can respect that. I disagree, though. I think that you need to judge the team on what they've done this year. And here's the thing, though.
Okay.
I just don't care where Clemson is in the AP poll. The only thing I care about is where they are in the college football playoff poll. And even if they're at number 4 in the college football playoff poll, I'm not going to be mad. Now, listen, here, if they're outside of the top 4, like some people are suggesting that they should be, I will have a problem with that. There's really no reason to have them outside of that. I don't care what they've done. I don't care who they've played. I don't care who they've beaten. If you're defending national champions, and are you inside of a washing machine?
No, it's just pretty windy where I'm at, and maybe there's ass reception.
Yeah, and I don't know how it comes across on video, but I have headphones on, and it's extremely loud, and it sounds like you're in a washing machine. But anyway, what I was saying was it's good.
My apologies.
No, it's fine. It's good now. What I was saying was if you're defending national champions and you haven't lost the game, I don't care who you played, you should be in the top 4 when the polls come out, unless there's 4 teams that are clearly better. And even an unbiased fan who's a Gamecock fan or an Ohio State fan or an Oklahoma fan or whoever, can anybody say that they don't think that Clemson's one of the 4 best teams in the country, even after 6 weeks? I don't think so.
Yeah, they definitely deserve to be in the playoffs. Like that, no one's disputing you there. At least I don't think so.
No.
And also my other argument is it creates a false perception that if you want to move up in the rankings, you need to blow out like the nobodies they play by 5+ touchdowns. And honestly, that kind of terrifies me every time a top playoff opponent comes into town. Like, do they really have to run up the score, embarrass us just so they can improve their ranking? That's BS, in my opinion.
Well, that is the sort of the universe that Clemson lives in now, because the ACC over the past 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years ago, the ACC was formidable. There was multiple ranked teams. Sometimes they had three top 15 teams at one time in the polls. But now that's not the case. Now the ACC's down. And so, with all the talk about having to blow teams out, Clemson probably has to do that. Now, on the other hand of that, Dabo Swinney is not about blowing teams out. He said it. He's mentioned it. He said, I'm not trying to blow teams out. I'm trying to win the game and get as much play time for my backup as I can. So, later in the season, whenever we do play a good team, whether it's Alabama or Ohio State or Georgia or, any of those top 10 teams, then that's when it matters. So this is one of the reasons I never bet on Clemson to cover the spread, because they'll take their players out at halftime the same way that Alabama does, and they might not cover the spread if it's a big spread.
Okay, so it's not just about, you say win comfortably, like comfortably enough that you say, you know what, maybe I can put my backups in, but think about this. What if a team is so bad that even if you're up 7-0, you can be completely confident that they're not going to score, and you can just, try not to score. Let's just try not to score, and let's put the scrubs in and get the F out of here.
Here's the thing. I'm going to have to let you go in a second, because literally I had to take my headphones off because it sounds like you're in a washing machine. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Clemson leaves their starters in for the first half if they're blowing them out. If they put their second and third string in there in the third and fourth quarter and they blow you out still and score 3 more touchdowns, that's not Clemson's fault. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Kneel the ball in the third quarter? It's not going to happen. Look, they got to play. You train the players to play. You train them to score. You're not going to train them not to score. There's no scenario anywhere in college football or the NFL where they're going to put their players in and say, don't score.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. All right, I appreciate the call, man. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's good catching up with you.
All right, man. Thank you.
Later. Peace.
I love that guy. Great caller, great subscriber, but it sounded like he was in Afghanistan and there was all kind of bombs going off behind him. Let me go ahead and pick up the next caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Players back, we might be able to pull off a win at Jacksonville.
Are you already talking before I even picked up the phone? George.
Oh, hey, man.
Are you talking to yourself? Who are you talking to?
I was doing the chat. I'm having a hard time.
Wait. Let me get this straight. You were talking to the chat with your voice? Is that what you were just doing?
Yeah, I never typed in my life.
What? Come on.
How could I possibly make 80 billion comments if I was typing?
You do text to chat for the comments?
I don't know. One day my phone said speak now, 2 years ago. I've never typed one thing on my phone again. I just talked to it.
Are you shitting me?
And I always buy the cheapest phone. This one cost $170. It's a Samsung A10e. Cheapest T-Mobile
George,
phone they have.
Have you ever donated on Super Chat to the channel? I'm not
I've never done anything like that. I don't even know how to do it. I keep asking everybody, what kind of bank card can I go buy at a grocery store?
No.
And bet
forget
on
that.
football and make Super Chat.
No, the reason that's not why I'm asking. The reason I'm asking, I was going to say, if you ever have, whether it's $10 or $20 or $100, I would pay you back that money for you to record yourself talking to your phone on the chat. I'd pay to see that.
I don't. You just heard me doing it. I don't understand what you want. There's no way. How would I do it? I'd have to video myself. It's amazing that I can be in your chat watching the show while I'm talking to you on the phone at the same time. I can't believe it. I don't know shit about phones. I'm 59 and a half. I'm amazed I even know how to use this stupid thing. And it tells me what to do. It can,
59 and a half. I'm stopping coughing like George now. All right, George, what you got for me today, man? So you got the Gamecocks today, or this week, today.
Yeah.
So So the Gamecocks beat Georgia last week. That means they're going to beat you now, right?
I just went into my systems and turned up every ringtone or everything as high as I could. I'm having a hard time hearing you. I got you on speaker.
You hear that?
Well, there it is. Okay. It was
Yeah.
me.
I figured.
Figure it out.
All right. So give me a score prediction for this week.
I honestly don't care. I don't care if we beat them by 1 or 3 or 20. I just don't care. I just want to win now. Season's already more than halfway over, and I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if we win by 1. I don't care.
Well, I wouldn't either. I mean, a win's a win.
Right. Yeah, as long as we don't lose. I don't care. Just win the game.
Listen, I'll give you credit where credit's due, and I've been giving you credit. Well, I've been not giving you credit for the first 5 weeks of football, but now that we're going into week 8 with a bye, I'll give Florida credit. Listen, LSU's the real deal. Florida went on the road at night and played LSU tough for 3 quarters. That game got away from you in the fourth quarter, but LSU played great. I mean, we know LSU played. Florida played great. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip the script. Right, we're halfway through the season. I'm gonna give credit to Florida. Florida is miles better than I thought they would be, or than I thought they were after almost losing to Miami and having a couple of struggle wins there early in the season. I think Florida's legit, and obviously Kyle Trask is a better quarterback than Felipe is. I think you can agree with that, right?
Yeah. Everybody in Florida gear is just thanking God Felipe sat down on the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know if he faked that injury or what happened, but he had to go.
Yeah.
The most important position in football is obviously the quarterback. It means everything. And now we have 2 of them that can spin that ball, and they are not afraid to throw it. Jones is better than Trask. He's incredible, but he ain't ready to play yet. He's too young. He's too skinny. But he'll get he's going to be good by the time he's the starter. He'll be ready for it. He'll beef up a little bit.
Florida's real forte is their defense, and I mean, I think they have a top 5 defense in the country, and that tells me how good LSU's offense really is, because going into that game last week, my biggest question with LSU was they haven't really played any very good defenses all year until they met Florida. And how many points? What was the final score of that game?
42-28.
Yeah,
but
so
they're on the video. If you go watch it, they had pass interference twice. We should have caught touchdowns. They just didn't call pass interference.
Yeah, well, we don't talk about reffing on here.
I know. I don't care. Game's over. I don't even care.
Yeah.
You're right. It was a good game anyway.
The point is LSU scored 42 points, and that's very impressive against Florida. I don't know if there's 5 teams in America that can score 42 points on Florida's defense. That's how good they are. And so that's the reason I think that this game this week, unless Florida is just that much hungover about the loss in Death Valley, Baton Rouge last week, I think that Florida will come out there and beat South Carolina pretty handily. And that's not just me being a South Carolina hater. It's just it's just reality. I mean, South Carolina is very inconsistent, right? I don't really know about the health of Helinski, the quarterback for South Carolina. I know they had their 3rd string quarterback in there against Georgia, but he's not anywhere near as good as Helinski. Let's be honest here. And
right.
The only real factor I would say is there is a legit home field advantage for South Carolina, but I don't know if it's more than maybe 3 or 4 points of an advantage. So I'd say Florida 35, South Carolina 21. That's my final score prediction. What's yours?
The reason I'm not guessing is because we played Georgia the week after that, and I know Mullen's not going to play anybody unless he absolutely has to. We have injured defensive players that cost us the LSU game. We're a little bit thin at depth with our best guys. We don't have equal backups to come in if they're not playing. We might not play those guys that were injured. If we can beat them without doing that, we'll just rest them. We'll rest everybody.
Yeah.
And I think it's maybe. I don't know if we have a bye week before Georgia or after Georgia. There's another bye week coming up, too.
So give me a final score prediction before I get off. I got a couple calls on hold here.
31-20. I guess. I don't know why I'm giving them 20.
All right.
31 something. 17 maybe. Is that what you said?
So you're saying 31-20 Gamecocks?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get 20 on us.
31-20 Gamecocks?
I feel like for sure we'll score 4 touchdowns at least,
George.
Maybe more.
George.
We might blow them out.
George.
Yeah.
31-20 Gamecocks?
No.
No. All right.
31-20 Florida.
All right. Gotcha. All right.
But I wouldn't bet this game because of the injuries and who we're facing the next game.
All right, George, thank you. First of all, you are a 5. If I had a 5-star caller thing like Lou did, I'd put that up for you. You're a 6-star caller even.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you for calling. And I learned that now that every time that you comment or call in, that you're yelling into your phone in your living room, and that is amazing and fantastic. I can't thank you enough for that.
I'll try to figure out a way to video me talking to my phone. It talks to me too. It's crazy, man. When I Google something, it just starts talking to me. It just reads the page to me. I'm like, I didn't do that. It just does it on its own.
Well, that's technology for you. All right. Thanks, George. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Later.
All right. Good afternoon.
Bye.
You're on with Pete. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Okay. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hello. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, it's McD Sports 4.
What's up, McD Sports 4? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm calling you because I have a question actually about your Carolina Panthers. There's not a lot of Panthers fans out here where I live. I'm wondering, with Kyle Allen, he's been playing really well these past few weeks, and there's reports that Cam's getting healthy again. As a Carolina Panthers fan, do you want Cam or Kyle Allen?
So, McD Sports 4, do you follow Pigskin Pete on Twitter? Are you on Twitter?
No.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Go ahead and make a Twitter account. Because, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. I hate Facebook. I never did like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it before I started YouTube, and I definitely don't like it now. They took down my Facebook page because they said that Pigskin Pete is not a real person. Can you believe that? Can you believe that they would tell me that Pigskin Pete's not a real person? Clearly, I'm a real person. I'm sitting right here talking to you right now.
I mean, you sound like a real person.
I'm a real person. I mean, right here in the flesh and blood. I mean, you cut me, I bleed. But anyways, start a Facebook page. And the reason I asked, not a Facebook page, a Twitter page. The reason I asked you that is because I'm very active on Twitter all day. I love Twitter. Twitter is 10 times better than Facebook. I don't care what anybody says. But I did a video about an hour ago, maybe, something like that, 2 hours ago, on Twitter talking about this very subject with Kyle Allen and Cam Newton. And here's what I'm going to say to you right now. No, Kyle Allen should not start ahead of a healthy Cam Newton. No, there's no way in hell. Look, when Cam Newton is healthy, which he hasn't been since the middle part of last season, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Kyle Allen is a rookie who is benefiting off of Christian McCaffrey putting up 1,000,000 yards and a very good defense. Am I saying that Kyle Allen's a bad quarterback? No. Is he Cam Newton? No. You're paying Cam Newton $25 million a year to play quarterback in Carolina. He's a former MVP. He's a former Super Bowl contender. And he has won more playoff games in Carolina than any quarterback in the history of the Carolina Panthers. So the answer is no, Kyle Allen is not the answer. As long as Cam Newton is healthy, not a banged up Cam Newton, not a Cam Newton that has a hurt shoulder or a bum leg, a healthy Cam Newton should start over Kyle Allen 100 times out of 100. That's my answer.
I agree.
Okay.
That was my main question.
Okay.
One other quick thing I want to say, though, is that I disagree with George. I think South Carolina is pulling off the upset this upcoming Saturday. 31-23 Gamecocks. I think they found stuff from last week against Georgia. So.
I'm sorry, my phone was ringing. I missed what you said. What was the score that you said?
31-23.
Gamecocks?
Yes, sir.
You're picking the Gamecocks to beat Florida.
Absolutely.
That's pretty amazing. So you're like probably the 100th person I've seen or heard say that, and I really can't relate to that. I think you're overreacting to the win against Georgia last week.
I might be, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
Who has South Carolina scored 31 points on all year?
Man, that's a good. They hung 72 on their FCS opponent. I'm just not sold on Florida's defense. I know they played LSU last week. I mean, they looked good against Auburn, but I'm not sold on Auburn's offense. I'm just not sold on Florida's defense in general. Like, I think with the game being at Williams-Brice Trail Park, I think that the Gamecocks can get the victory there.
Well, I'll tell you this. If the Gamecocks win this game against Florida this week, you're going to start hearing chants. Well, I'm already starting to hear it. All right, you're already starting to hear the fans say that just because they beat Georgia, now they're going to beat Florida, now they're going to beat Clemson, now they're going to run the table and win the East, right? If they run the table, they probably will win the East, and then they're going to win the SEC, and then they're going to make it to the playoffs for the first time ever as a 3-loss team. And they're going to be national champions, all because of a double overtime win against Georgia when Georgia was slipping and missed a field goal. This is the massive amount of delusion that comes with 125 years of losing every year and never winning anything. So,
I don't think South Carolina's going to win anything. I did say in the preseason, I've been saying it since the preseason that they were going to beat Florida. So I'm kind of sticking to that as well. I think South Carolina loses to Tennessee, actually, whenever the hell they play them in the next few weeks.
So
I think that will kind of kill it.
So before we get off, let me get this straight. This is important. So you think that South Carolina is going to beat Florida and then lose to Tennessee?
I think that's going to happen.
You do?
The game's in Knoxville.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. But listen, you're I guess you're entitled to your opinion. I'm going to pick the opposite. I'm going to say that South Carolina loses to Florida and then beats Tennessee.
I mean, that might happen too. I mean, I think the SEC East is wide open. I think there's 3 teams that can win it: Florida, Georgia, and Missouri. Even though I think Missouri has that bowl ban, so they won't get in the SEC championship. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. That's all I have for you, Pigskin Pete.
All right,
thanks for taking my call. I have to go help fish some bowls. So thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for the call. You're amazing and fantastic. The 919 number that's called, and I tried to answer, they called back. So I'm going to see who's on the line. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Hello? Hello? Take your phone off mute. Do something. This is the second time you've called. I'm not hanging up on you. Take your phone off mute. This is just a word to the wise. Good afternoon, you're on Pete.
Pete, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hey, it's Rick, Johnny Red Dot. How are you?
Hey, Johnny. I'm glad you finally got through.
Well, the first time I had another call come in, so I called you back, and then evidently I couldn't get through. First things first, congratulations. I enjoyed your video, 2nd year anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. A couple questions. Now, I was kind of on the tail end of that conversation. Was that a South Carolina fan? And he was saying they're going to beat Florida.
No, he's not. He's not a South Carolina fan. I'm trying to remember who he is a fan of. No, it's not South Carolina. I know that. No.
Well, that's one of my picks this week is South Carolina minus the 6. I mean, Florida minus the 6.
Okay, yeah.
I think just a fluke. Yeah, that game. I also took the over on the Georgia game. I think they have a 10% chance to get in the playoffs. So if they don't post a big number against Kentucky, which I don't know if Kentucky can score the difference.
No, I think that's going to be a massacre. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 45-10 or 45-6 or something like that.
You're spot on, brother. That's exactly what I had 45-10. I think the over is 48.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. I mean, unreal football game last week. I mean, the stars aligned. I mean, when the kicker missed the first field goal, that's the second time that Georgia has had a game winning field goal against them, with us in Alabama when we missed the national championship. And now South Carolina, they came out on the short end of the stick both times.
Yeah. And listen, Rodrigo Blankenship, the kicker for Georgia, I feel really bad for him for missing that field goal. For anybody, and listen, first of all, I want to say this. I have not seen anybody blaming him for the loss, and they shouldn't, because it's not his fault that they were in double overtime with South Carolina in the first place. But I think he's probably the best kicker in America. And I feel really bad for him for that, for him, having the brunt of some of the fans blaming him, but it definitely wasn't his fault. He should never have been put in that position in the first place.
No, absolutely. I mean, we're hearing a lot of feedback here in Alabama that, Kirby's he's had a game challenging moment and he makes bad decisions, and it was a fluke. I mean, Rodrigo, nothing should be put on him. Anybody in their right mind wouldn't put money against him if he had to kick that field goal again. He would probably make it. I mean, that's just what it is. Right. I think it's kind of, odd watching your videos now and how people are giving you a hard time about Clemson not playing anybody. And, you and I had this conversation. We talk about it all the time, that you're on the mountain. And when you're on that mountain, a lot of hate comes, and I think Clemson is going to be fine. They're going to get stronger. You have nothing to do with the schedule. I mean, that schedule was made 5 years ago. Who knew that ACC was going to be bad? But I guess my question is, what's left in your schedule? What do you think the toughest game or games that you have coming up? Do you think that State will give you a hard time in the Textile Bowl? It's my wife's alma mater, and we'll be watching that game. But, I mean, their offense is it's anemic.
Yeah,
defense looks okay.
I don't think that NC State will give Clemson a problem. I think that game's in Death Valley this year. Am I right about that? Is it in Death Valley or is it in NC State? I think it's in Death Valley.
If it's at Clemson, they won't have a chance.
Well,
but
either way,
no, I haven't looked.
Yeah, either way, I probably don't think that NC State has a chance this year. I think that the two toughest games they have left on their schedule are probably Wake Forest and South Carolina, and we'll see what South Carolina looks like at the end of the year. I don't know. They're very up and down. The game this week in Louisville is interesting. I know that people think that it's just a pushover, but this Louisville team is not the same Louisville team that only won 2 games last year. They're tough. They're very well coached. I really like Scott Satterfield, and the fact that it's in Louisville and this game will be sold out and be very loud could cause some problems with communication for Clemson's offense. And this has really been probably the biggest issue for Clemson this year on the road is communication and false starts. We saw that they had 7 false start penalties in North Carolina, and that was really the difference between them maybe winning by 2 touchdowns and winning by 1 point. So I'm not going to go ahead and just dismiss Louisville this week, even though I think that Louisville is vastly under-talented compared to Clemson. But I think if I'm going to pinpoint 2 games, I'd say Wake Forest and South Carolina, 2 toughest games left on the schedule.
I would agree. I really wish, we watch State all the time. They're such a Jekyll and Hyde team. They have some talent, but the offense is horrible. I mean, it's just.
And I know
to sit there and watch them play that.
I know I've asked you this before, but I know that you're a fan of NC State, and so you don't want to really dog your team too much or your coach. But I'm really not a big believer in Dave Dorian, and I think that you expressed to me earlier in the year that you do like him. Are you wavering from that at all? I mean, what's your feelings on Dorian?
Oh no, I like Dorian as a person, I should say. I guess Calvin's part of the Wolfpack Club, and we donate. And I followed Dave's career when he was at Northern Illinois, and I just think he's over his head. What's giving him a little grace period, which I didn't realize this talking to one of my friends. He had 2 back-to-back 9-win seasons. 2 years ago, he had 11 players go to the pros. Who's State going to get, though? I mean, I don't think Dornan's the guy there. I just really don't. But who is State going to get? Because before, when they got Dorian, they didn't have a queue there that they could pick from. No one wanted. He was like the Tennessee job.
Yeah, here's where I would disagree with that, because if you look at the group of 5, you have some really good teams. You have Cincinnati, UCF, Boise State. I mean, there's 4 or 5 really elite teams in the group of 5. For that level, that would love to have a job at NC State. And when you look at what's going on right now at North Carolina with Mack Brown, and I know Mack Brown is brought a resurgence into that program. So if I were a North Carolina State fan, the way I would be looking at it is not like who can we get, it's who will we get, because I think that there's people out there, younger guys, hungry coaches at a lower level that can come in there and put a resurgence into the program that Dave Dorian's not giving them right now. And that's the way I would look at it.
Well, hey, Pete, you're 100% correct. I mean, you don't have any pushback or disagreement with me for that. The problem is that the alumni, the expectation is they want that top tier guy. And I told Calvin, who's part of the Wolfpack Club, I said, look, the pool of talent, you need a young guy. You need McVay is a prime example. There's some talented guys out there in their 30s and their 40s, but these expectations of trying to go in there and go toe-to-toe with Clemson and trying to make an impact, it's crazy. Let me tell you something. I agree with you.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Tony Elliott, the co-offensive coordinator, who's the main play caller, he's really the main offensive coordinator for Clemson. They call Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott co-offensive coordinators, but it's really Tony Elliott's offense, right? He has already said that he is seeking a head coaching job. He said last year, whenever Georgia Tech was looking for a new coach, before they hired Jeff Collins, that if Georgia Tech would have called him, he would have been extremely interested in that job. And so, if North Carolina State were to come out and say, hey, we want to go after Tony Elliott, I think that he would take that job in a heartbeat. And you're talking about a guy who has run one of the most prolific offenses in college football for the past half of a decade, has been there, done that, won national championships, coached some of the best quarterbacks and offensive players in all of college football. I mean, that would be a place to start. If I were NC State or any other team in the ACC, or maybe even in the Big 12 or Big 10, some of these mid-level teams that was looking for a head coach, I'd be knocking on Tony Elliott's door right now.
Should be a perfect fit. Being part of the Wolfpack Club, I went to Elon and Debbie Yao, who was AD there. That's where she went to school. And I think they've made some changes there. They'll start looking for they have the money, they have the resources, and you got to give Dornan another chance. You say, hey, but this season's just been, who knows? It's Jekyll and Hyde. I'll be interested to see the game and see how they play this weekend. But all right. No, hey, I'm happy for you. I'll get off and let someone else talk to you. A couple things. Ecstatic. I've been watching you for a long time, especially a guy who's from has Crimson views from Alabama. It's been a pleasure to watch the channel grow and see all the subscribers get up. You really know college football, and it's kind of funny to see all those hater remarks. But I enjoy watching the show. I enjoy the videos, getting on at night and seeing them. And hey, I'm glad you're passionate for Clemson. What a great program. And hey, I hope we take care of our business, and I'm pretty sure you'll take care of your business, and we'll be back in the college football playoffs, and it'll be Rocky 5.
Well, I hope you're right. And listen, thank you for the kind comments. I think it's people like you that make this YouTube channel even possible. So I appreciate the kind words.
Hey, well, good luck, and we'll be watching Saturday, and I'll chime back in, and that was a good conversation. And I do respect your football knowledge. People can say what they want to about the haters, so.
Yeah, all right.
But you know what you're talking about.
All right, thanks,
all right,
man.
brother. See you.
All right, I'll see you later, man. Thanks. I'm going to take one more call here. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Pete, how are you, sir? It's Slim Shady.
Hey, Slim Shady Kansas. But by the way, hold on. Before I forget, I've got a lot going on. My phone's ringing off the hook for some reason. Nobody ever calls me ever until I turn on the live stream, and now my phone's blowing up. But I did see while I was on the phone with him that you sent in a $5 super chat, so thank you, sir. Daily reminder: the Florida Gators are still a steaming cup of dumpster juice, says Slim Shady Canes. Anyways, so thanks, man. What you got going on? What you got for me today?
Well, I'm hoping things go to plan this weekend and Miami doesn't pull a Miami and play down to what should be an inferior team this year.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I have lost total confidence in Miami. And I know we spoke, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? It was before you played, who was it? Who
Probably had to have been before that Virginia Tech game.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. And I was like, you know what? Virginia Tech's one of the worst teams in America. I expect Miami to go in there and handle business with no problem. And then they went and laid an egg. And then they come back the next week and beat Virginia, who's, many considered to be the best team in the Coastal, maybe outside of Duke. And pretty convincingly, too. I mean, Miami looked really good in that game. So they're just like a roller coaster, man. They're just I don't even know what to think about Miami at this point.
I have my wonders at times. I mean, before that Virginia Tech game, I did tell you. I said, anybody that goes in there underestimating Bud Foster is very liable to take a loss.
Yeah.
Regardless of how they play. Bud Foster is one of the best in the game.
Yeah. You know what? I'm starting to think that there is. First of all, you already know how I feel about Manny Diaz, and I know a lot of the Miami fans are coming down on Enos now, and all that, and with the quarterback change. But do you remember? I know you called in before the season started. We had a conversation. It might have been like right before the Florida game in week 0. You called in, and I said, you might remember this. I said. Specifically, I said, Miami better not do this thing where they do this quarterback rotation where one guy starts one week and one starts the next week. That never works out. And that's exactly what they've ended up doing. And
well, not really. I mean, you had Jaron start the first 4 games. And then, I've had my wonders about the shoulder injury. But, I mean, pretty much any quarterback, you throw 3 straight interceptions on 3 straight drives, you're at least going to get pulled out and sat down for a minute, and somebody's going to have a conversation with you.
Well, yeah.
But the way that offense came alive in that Virginia Tech game with Perry under center, I mean, I can see their rationale for wanting to keep him in there.
All right, so but here's the thing, though. So Williams started the first 4 games. If you're going to make the decision to pull him out, which they've done, or at least they did, that week and then last week. So, but I'm hearing Williams is going to start now this week. Is that right?
No, Perry's starting the Georgia Tech game.
All right, so I don't even know. This is one of the things that's so frustrating about trying to cover Miami is that I probably get too much information from YouTube. I probably should be actually looking at the scout reports and all that, and I'm not. I'm watching YouTubers and I'm watching ESPN. But the last thing I heard is that Williams is starting this game. But you're telling me that's not right.
A lot of people took Manny Diaz's press conference as Williams is starting. What Manny said was.
He said if he was
Williams is still our guy.
Right. If he's healthy.
Yeah, he's still our guy, but it's going to be if he is physically ready to go and if he is in the right place mentally, after throwing 3 straight interceptions in that Virginia Tech game, what got him pulled out. And Dan Enos has said some things along the line of, really and truly it was kind of Manny Diaz's decision to start Williams. He's really said some things along the lines of he wanted Perry as his starter in that offense.
All right, so what you have is a defensive head coach making decisions about who should start at quarterback.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what that tells me...
And this is something I had a conversation with Uncle Lou about, and he was worried about happening, kind of with the same thing along with Kirby Smart that, I told him I had my worries about as well.
Right, and what that tells me is that there's something... Because Manny Diaz is a first-year head coach, but he's been in the Miami program for several years, so he's not a stranger to Perry. So what that tells me is that there's some sort of a grudge between Perry and Manny.
I'm not so sure. My personal opinion on what happened, I think Williams got hot at the right time in fall camp. Because they had been battling all summer, all spring, into the fall, and I think Jaron Williams got hot there at the end. And also something that you tend to see out of first-time head coaches that were defensive coordinators, he went with a guy that made less mistakes. And I through the majority of the games, outside the Virginia Tech game, he was hitting 75% of his passes.
Right.
No touchdowns until Virginia Tech. So he's not putting the ball in harm's way. But I told a lot of people, I said, 75% completion looks great, but you're still losing games. He's not taking the risk that needed to be taken to win.
Here's the way from the outside, and believe me, I'm not pretending to be some sort of expert on Miami's roster or what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not. You definitely know more about it than I do. I feel like the way that things are going down right now, I feel like that the entire Miami staff, including Manny Diaz, feels like that maybe Jaron Williams has the higher upside in the future, but Perry gives them the best chance to win right now. Now, I have always said, and at least now, I still feel this way. This might change, but I still feel like Perry gives you the best big play ability, the best deep threat. I think he's a more accurate big-time passer than Williams. And I'm not saying that Williams can't do that. I'm just saying right now. But what I feel like is that this is an indictment on the off-the-field issues that Perry had last year when Manny was still there. And I feel like that there's some sort of rift and maybe a disagreement between Manny and Perry. There's something going on there. I feel like, and I could be completely wrong. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just, as an outsider looking in, that's the way I feel about it. But here's the thing. I feel like that Perry is one of these guys because of how talented he is that maybe could possibly put his name in the transfer portal if he's not going to be the starter for the long term. Do you feel that way?
I'm really surprised that either him nor Tate isn't gone already, to be perfectly honest with you. Mm-hmm. As far as what you were thinking, with Williams probably having the higher upside, I was thinking the same thing. I don't think it's by a whole lot, though. I think both of their upsides is probably pretty even. I mean, they were both highly touted quarterbacks coming out. They were both high-rated 4-stars coming out of high school. With me, I think it's just more an experience thing with Jaron. I think he has a tendency to not want to make the mistake,
right,
and hasn't played enough to really trust his receivers. So that's why he just automatically checks down from his deep threat.
All right, so that's a great point that you made there. So as a Miami fan, and this might be a difficult question that you probably might not be able to answer, but maybe you can. knowing that Perry could possibly transfer if he's benched for the rest of the season, knowing that Williams might have the higher upside, or maybe you don't agree with that. Maybe you think Perry has a higher upside, but going for the rest of the season, we're 6 weeks through. So for the next 6 games of the season, who would you rather see take the reins and keep the reins for the remainder of the season after 6 weeks?
As things sit right now, Perry.
Okay. Because you think
I made no qualms about it in the offseason. I was a Perry guy. I was wanting him to be the starter.
Yeah, I thought he would too. But you're picking Perry because you think he gives you the best chance to win now, right?
He does, but I also think he gives you a very good chance to win even more games in the future. I mean, because let's be honest. Look at Jalen Hurt right now. That is a product of what Dan Enos is able to do with a quarterback.
Here's the only reason I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm not even really disagreeing because, again, you know more about it than I do, but I still feel as if whatever's going on, and to me there's clearly a rift between Manny and Perry. That could be resolved at some point, but for the long term, sometimes I think if there's a bad relationship, maybe it's better to cut ties and just move on to the next guy. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. This is totally an X's and O's deal. Maybe this is totally practice and seeing what they do in practice. I don't know. But the fact that Manny Diaz is telling Dan Enos, who's the offensive coordinator, and the quote-unquote quarterback whisperer who did coach Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa at some point, to bench one guy for another that gives them a better chance to win is a red flag for me.
I mean, I don't want to say that's true, but I can't really disagree with it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Miami fans who have been very vocal about it.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
Like you said, I mean, they've been vocal since the beginning of the year. They were on, the fire Dan Enos train, and then as soon as, Perry puts up almost 500 yards in 2.5 quarters, Dan Enos is the second coming, and they're jumping on Manny now.
Yeah.
And I really haven't jumped on Jaron like a lot of them have. They wanted to jump on Jaron for throwing interceptions, and I told them, I said, this is real simple. I said, you have 2 kinds of quarterbacks. You have quarterbacks that have thrown interceptions, and you have quarterbacks that are going to throw interceptions.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to jump on a guy that started at that point 5 games who threw a couple of picks. I mean, a bad day was bound to happen. Everybody has them.
So technically,
I would have thought his.
Technically, Miami. Sorry, we're running low on time, but I want to get this in before we get off. So technically, Miami is still in the hunt in the division. I mean, mathematically, they are anyway. To win that division.
Mathematically, they are, and considering how it seems to go every year. I mean, if Virginia Tech can pull off the win this week and Duke can pull off the win this week, all Miami has to do is win out and they win the division.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot that has to happen.
And it is, but I mean, at the same time, it's the same reason why some Miami fans were, I want to say, optimistic going into the season, because the way the schedule lines up is very favorable.
I'll tell you this.
I mean, we've got Georgia Tech this week.
Yeah, I'm off the Miami train. I've lost all faith in them. I was very high on them in the beginning of the season. I really thought that Miami was going to run through that schedule, maybe get challenged by Virginia for the division, but I thought it was going to be pretty much a done deal that Miami was going to win. And they just, one week they look great, the next week they look terrible, the next week they look great, the next week they look terrible. I just don't even know what to think about them. And now with this whole quarterback situation, my head's spinning. And so, I feel, first of all, I don't envy you as a Miami fan. I'm very spoiled, over the past half decade as being a Clemson fan. But I do remember what it was like to be in your position. So I'm not totally unsympathetic to the way that you feel about your team. But I feel like that this is a short-term problem. I think that Manny Diaz is the guy for the job. That won't – listen, you'll have to go on and repeat this, inconsistent play for another 3 or 4 seasons in a row before I jump off the Manny Diaz train, because I'm very forgiving to first-time head coaches. But for the rest of this year, I'm off the Miami train. I don't know what to think about them anymore.
Well, I mean, if you go back to that conversation we had before the Florida game, I said if I had to put my money on it, Miami's going 9-3. I mean, and I said I worried about the Florida game, I worried about the Virginia Tech game, and I worried about as bad as they are, the Florida State game, because just for the simple fact,
I'd be worried
about through the history. No matter who's up and down, that's a pick'em game.
Yeah. At this point,
so I think Maney's going to be the guy.
At this point, I see 4 or 5 losses at minimum.
I'm not so sure about that.
4 probably. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I don't know, man.
The 5 is what I was not so sure about. 4, yes, it's possible, but especially once you get in, if they can get some momentum going, with these 2 wins. I mean, the hardest team they have left on their schedule, Florida State and maybe Duke.
Yeah. Duke's legit, though.
I mean, yeah. And like I said, Florida State's a pick'em game. Duke has beat us.
What about Pitt?
Maybe ever.
Pitt's legit.
Pitt's one some people worry about. Pitt looks legit some weeks, and then some weeks they don't.
I don't know, man. Pitt's legit. That game's in Pittsburgh too, which makes a huge difference, I think. So I don't know. Listen, I'm not. Listen, you already know I love you, but I have been one of the biggest defenders of Miami from the end of last year. As a matter, we go back 2 years, from 2017 and 18 into now. I've been one of the biggest defenders of Miami, and I'm fed up. I'm fed up with. I'm not as fed up as you because you're a fan, but I'm fed up. Like I can't defend him anymore. I don't know what to do. Help me out, bro. Help me out here.
Believe me, there are a lot of fans fed up, and I tried telling them all summer. I said, y'all need to kind of curb your expectations for this team with a head coach that's never been a head coach before. Yeah. I mean, go back to Nick Saban's first game ever as a head coach. He looked terrible, and he looked like he had no clue what he was doing.
Right, so you're proving my point.
Nobody looks good at first.
No, Dabo sucked at first. Nick sucked at first. I mean, most of them do it first. But guess what? Manny Diaz is first-year head coach, so that's why I don't have any expectations for him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the only 2 examples that you can pull up through college football history where first-time head coaches have looked good, the first one was Larry Coker. He was handed a championship team. And the second one was Lincoln Riley, and he was handed a championship team.
Yeah. All right, listen, my battery's about to run out. I have one more call that's been holding. I want to get them before I get off real quick. But
all right, boss.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, last call here. Let's see what this is. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Pete, what's up?
What's up?
I have one more call.
Oh, man, what you think, man? I'm DeAndre. How you been?
Hey, DeAndre Crawford. How you doing, brother? I got about 2 minutes. I got about 2 minutes worth of battery left. The only reason I picked it up is because I knew it was you, and I wanted to talk to you. So what you got for me, man?
Okay. I'm on your rant about Clemson's week schedule. People saying this week. Real fast, Oklahoma's schedule is probably just as weak. I know outside of Texas, they haven't beat anybody either.
Well,
I get tired of hearing that. Every other play who they play, it's not Clemson's job to make the ACC better. It's Clemson's job to take care of Clemson. I get tired of hearing that.
Look. Like I said on that video, there's maybe 4 teams in the country that can say they have a tough gauntlet of a schedule. The rest of them, they got a bunch of bad teams on their schedule. It's not anybody's fault who was good last year is not good this year. Even if you look at Ohio State's schedule, Wisconsin was no good last year, and they're good this year. So that's good. That's a good team for them. But here's the bottom line. Losers make excuses for losing, right? So win your games. Don't lose to Purdue or Iowa by 30 points, and maybe you'll make it into the playoffs. I don't care if you play no ranked teams or 10 ranked teams. Win your games, and then beat the teams that when it matters in the playoffs.
All right. All right, Pete, man, you take care. I don't know what's going on with Uncle Lou. I haven't been picking on him. Thank you for leaving me alone. I didn't say nothing to him.
What are you talking about?
Uncle Lou.
What did he do?
He put $5 at the least. Thank you for leaving me alone. I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't picked on him.
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't bother him. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, Clemson probably do have less YouTubers than anybody else out there compared to Bama and Ohio State and Miami.
Hey.
I think they probably had the biggest three out there.
You only need one Clemson YouTuber. He's right here.
That's right. I keep on supporting you, man.
All right.
You take care, all right, bro?
All right, man. Thanks for the call, bro. Appreciate it. All right, you guys. There you go. DeAndre Crawford. I want to thank.
We are sorry, but the show has ended.
You hear that?
Goodbye.
This guy is trying to steal my thunder. Tell me the show has ended. I only say when the show's ended, not this guy. Uncle Lou says, "Thank you for leaving me alone." That's what he was just talking about. Listen, Lou, if you want me to leave you alone, I'll leave you alone. I have no idea what you're talking about, though. But sure, I'll do it. Listen, thanks all for that stopped in on this impromptu stream. Thanks for all the callers. Thanks for all the super chatters. Slim Shady Canes, Nice Guy TV, who's DeAndre Crawford, and also the one, the only, the legendary Uncle Lou stopped in. Yeah, that's it. Listen, so I'll put a poll up on YouTube community section for which 3:30 game this Saturday you want me to cover and do the live play-by-play and reaction video to. I have not even looked at them. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to let the voters, the viewers, the people that really matter on this YouTube channel pick it for me. So I'll post that tomorrow. You guys make sure you make your votes. And that's it. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping in. You're all amazing. You're all fantastic. Pigskin Pete is checking out.